Hi, this is my first video I'm going to make about databases. So you'll have to watch the whole series to kind of understand from A to Z how to work with ADO databases within .NET. And I'll start with installing SQL Server in case anybody has missed that topic already. So you can go to the Azure portal, which most of you have as a student. All right. So you log in with your credentials. All right, and then you'll find what you need under education and software. So I'm going pretty fast because I figure most of you will pause if you need time to do the steps yourself. So if you get here, I know that some students have a smaller list, and I'm not sure why. I really don't understand why. Um, but in this case, you have this one here, and it loads up an ISO. So you click on it and download. All right, so it's going to download a 1.3 gig file, which is SQL Server Developer, which is an ISO. An ISO is basically a disk image. It's not an installer. Okay, so this is installing. Okay, and I'll pause. So I'll pause the video every time we have to wait for something. I'll pause the video and just come back. So for you, it's going to be it's going to look like it's gone faster. So I will pause and come back in a bit. All right, so I've downloaded the file. And if you're one of the students that has just a few of these options, the SQL server you download might not be this full ISO file. It's another file, it's an executable. I forgot what to click on that one, but I think it's just install developer edition or something like that. But if you want, I mean, you can always get this from another student. Like, you have USB keys and you can always transfer that. So the interesting thing about this is that you can do two ways. First of all, you can actually just double click it, or you can say mount, right? So if you do that, it's going to do exactly what it said, is that it mounts it as a DVD drive, and then you have the setup here that you can run, and you run it that way. The other way to do it is that here you have this, and if you have something called 7-zip, you can actually just extract it like this to a folder, and it's almost the same as mounting it, except it doesn't mount it as a drive letter, but you have the folder that has the setup file inside. So I'll just keep it as the mounted folder, which is here, and you click on setup, and you go through this process here. So you have to go to installation, new standalone. You keep the edition as developer. What else is there? So yeah, the developer. You don't want Express. It's a smaller version of the database. So you don't want Express. You want developer. Like they expect you to read all this. I'm not sure. All right. So then you can use Microsoft Update to check for updates in case you want to keep this on your computer long term. I would suggest to select it. If it's just temporary, then don't. Okay, so the install happened and the setup runs. Firewall warning is normal. It means that you have to allow ports through the firewall, but this doesn't apply to us right now. Now what you're going to install is you're going to install the engine services. You can install to another folder. So for example, if you wanted to install to your D drive or something like that. For now, I'll just keep it, I'll keep it here. Do I actually want to? Actually, I'll put it on D. Shared feature. Yeah. Okay. Now here you can choose default or named. Default means that it's the instance that that is the default that is chosen when you don't specify an instance, and that's usually the easiest one to work with. But let's say you have multiple projects on your computer, and each one needs its own database or its own instance of a database. Then you would go here, and then you would name them each one like final project or whatever it may be, and you can do that. And you can add these later. So we'll start with the default. If you have instances, they would be listed here, by the way, if you already have them. So here, leave everything as is. It's the rights needed for it. You usually don't have to touch this unless you're in a corporate environment. And this is the part that's interesting or important, is that you need to have mixed mode. Select the password. And I'll add current user. Okay, so that's important because you need, this is for non-password authentication, and this is for password authentication with the SA account. It is even shown there, the SA. Validation errors. Does not meet strong password. Okay. P. Let's try this one. Okay. So I chose this temporarily just for now, just to be clear. And let's install. So the speed of the install definitely varies amongst people. Depending if your computer is faster, hard disk space, whatever it may be. My computer generally is pretty fast. This one here, it's an i9, so it should be kind of okay. But SQL Server actually requires more resources than MySQL, for example. It's a pretty demanding program, to be honest. Okay, so install successful. Everything should kind of show as complete. This is the most important part, and close. Okay, then the next thing you need is SQL Server. This is SSMS. Where is it? Here. So you can download it here. That's incredibly slow. And by the way, when you're done, you could safely unmount this. And how do you do that? Eject. So you can just do an eject here and your drive is gone. So now everything's back to normal. Okay, so this is downloading. And complete. So we run it. Okay, everything should be as, no need to change anything. And yeah, just remember to keep this because you have yeah, some very interesting software like Windows 11 in case you ever want to upgrade. It's there for free. Visio is one of the most important things you would need in your program. This is brand new. I've never tried 2021 before. So, you know, there's a good amount of things. And by the way, Access is, I mean, it's a database good to learn from, but it's never a database that you're ever going to use in a professional environment. It's not a multi-user friendly at all. Okay, so there you go. You can close this and everything is done. So SQL, here is how you open it. All right. Now here's the authentication methods. Now the server name could be your desktop computer, or you can also put local in brackets like this for Windows authentication, and it'll connect, you know, like this. SQL Server agent like not running is normal. Another way you can connect is by selecting that, or SQL Server authentication. So this one here, you need a username SA, and the password is the one that you recorded before, and you can connect to it that way as well. We're going to create a database. Again, I'm gonna go kind of fast because you can always pause and rewind and stuff like that. So database, new database, database name. So I recorded it here. I wanted to do the same thing as I did in class. So it's inventory items. So the database is inventory. Okay, don't click on add, by the way. You don't need to have any extra database files. So just inventory, owner's default, and everything is good. And then you'll have your inventory database here. And then you have to create a table in it. So we're going to make a new table by right-click on table. And it's going to have column ID. The data type is int, and we don't allow nulls. Description and varchar. I don't want nulls here either. And then quantity on hand, which I believe is an integer with no nulls. And once that's done, you can save your table. And the table is called items. So items. Okay, and we're done. If you wanted to see the table here, you have to, I don't know why it doesn't auto refresh, but you click on refresh and you'll see the table here. I did see one or two students who didn't refresh even when you clicked here, which is really weird, but in that case you would, I guess you could quit the SSMS and then you can try again to log in, and it did appear in those cases, which, I mean, that's kind of, I guess, a bug or something. So with this, we are now going to insert some records. So you click on a new query, insert into items. ID, description, quantity on hand, values 1. I don't know why I'm not copy pasting this, but that's fine. Okay, so something like this. I'm selecting them all and execute. It says 4 rows affected and completion time. So you should see something like in this like this. Everything would be okay. If not, you have to review your settings. Here, there's no quotes because these are column names, and here there are quotes around the strings and no quotes around the numbers. So just make sure that all of that is okay. All right. So to see if everything has been inserted, you can look here like this, and you'll see the ID, the description of the quantity in hand. Now, I made a small mistake, and I just remembered my items. I forgot to make it a primary key, the ID. So, and this is great to show you because you can see how to go back and change these values. So you can go on items and select design, and it brings you back to the design tab that we were in before. And then you can just write here and say set primary key, and it'll set the primary key. That's because I have a 4K screen. I don't know why it makes the icon so small, but you'll see that there's a little microscopic key here anyway to show that. Okay, so we're set, and you can save, and everything is done. Okay. Now I'd like to make another table. Well, actually, I'll do that during the thing because I'd like to make another table to show auto-incrementing IDs. So for now, we're done. I'll stop the video, and this video was really about installing SQL Server. So the next video, which I'll post immediately after, will be how to read data and how to basically use Microsoft Visual Studio and C# to read your data, insert data, and all those kind of things. Okay, that's the next video.